What's up, guys? Welcome back to another beautiful interview. And if I'm hurting your ears, I'm sorry. I honestly don't care. I got a brother with me that I've known for so long. He actually chased us down ding dong ditching when we were kids. And I don't mean to start it off like that, but bro, I've never had an interview hit home. The entrepreneur, the Christian, the father of six.
Six kids.
Six
Let's
kids.
just be honest. It's 6 kids. I can't
Zac
let this go.
Mear.
Yeah.
What's
What's
bro?
up, man?
Hey, listen,
I'm so excited to be here,
dude.
brother.
I'm glad.
So
I'm probably more excited than you, bro. I get chills because like this is like a full circle moment. When I was a young kid, I never thought in a million years you would be working with me in the podcast realm.
That's right. That's
you know
right.
what I'm saying? I understand maybe helping you dig some holes for some pools.
Yeah, put you
like,
to
yo,
work.
I need
Come
you
on,
to come
man.
work. But like, bro,
Yeah.
how you been, bro?
Man, I've just been living the dream, dude.
Yeah,
I mean,
just trying to make sure you're talking and, you
Yeah,
know, my
yeah.
bad. I just want to make sure.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm living the dream, man. I'm living it. You know, I mean, I feel blessed. I'm highly blessed right now, man. And I'm just excited to be here and kind of talk about what's going on, man.
Dude,
And
I appreciate you even taking not just the interest, but the investment and wanting to tell your story because
right.
everybody has a story. Just a lot of us don't know how to tell it.
That's
and
right.
if you're struggling to tell it, maybe reach out to him. You
Yep.
can reach out to me and we can give you the positive advice that we can give you to make you elevate. And that's kind of why I call it Rise to Elevate.
Yep.
But we'll dig into it, bro. Where are you from?
So, born in Atlanta, but raised here in Somerville, South Carolina, man.
I would have not thought that.
I was born.
So what happened? Did you I wouldn't say where your parents was going through and stuff in Atlanta, but did you kind of like migrate anywhere to get to Atlanta?
So honestly, it was that my grandmother brought my father here, and both my parents graduated from Somerville High School right here in this town. But my grandmother was a nurse, and my grandmother was specifically back in the late 80s, early 90s, an AIDS nurse. Mm-hmm. She wanted to take care of people. She knew there was an epidemic going around, and she wanted to be helpful. And so the place that needed it the most was Atlanta, Mm-hmm. So she took herself to Atlanta, and a few, when I was, brought into this world, they helped my mother the most, and so
as they should though, without our mothers or even a mother figure in our life, we would be nothing.
That's right.
Male or female.
That's right.
Without mothers, we're nothing. But I do want to ask, what was something that kind of stuck out the most being from Atlanta? I don't know if you lived there long time or what happened. But
so I left when we were 2 years old.
Okay.
My mother and father came back to Somerville, and we came back here. So that's why I say I was born in Atlanta, but raised here in Somerville, South Carolina.
What do you remember in Atlanta then?
So luckily, my grandmother lived there for almost all of my life, my adulthood. So it was always because, to get into it real quick, my dad died when I was a kid. So it was, every holiday, it didn't matter if it was Christmas break, spring break, summer, I spent time with my grandmother in Atlanta. So my childhood and most of my life my vacation time was in Atlanta. So I got all those cool places, those eclectic places that had so much culture and so much to teach you as a young child. My grandmother wanted me to learn things that weren't just of Somerville, South Carolina.
That's a big switch though. Going from Atlanta, which was maybe not as of a popular area as it was now.
That's
maybe.
right.
I don't know. I feel like Atlanta's still always been pretty big.
Yeah.
But to Somerville, which was definitely
right.
excuse my language, bumpkin.
Yeah.
It was like nothing around, you would drive in Jedburgh and there's nothing but tree thing. How was that? How was the big change to coming back to somewhere where it's quieter?
Well, I mean, again,
because I know you're young.
Yeah.
You may not know what's really going on, but still, I
mean, as a I think the Somerville roots were always kind of inbred in me. Even now, I stick by Somerville High School. I'm a Green Wave through and through, and I've got two of my oldest children are at Somerville High School right now. So I think Somerville is what has been in my heart, and it still is to this day. Some people move on and they get to the West Ashes and Mount Pleasant. So there's nothing wrong with that. No. But I love being from Somerville, and I love this area. So
I don't think there's any other area I would want to live in other than Somerville, because it's just like every other place is either just just insane stuff is going on.
That's right.
And but I do want to ask, how was your elementary? What were you doing? And maybe was there a calling that you kind of noticed at a young age that you were sticking to, or like what was going on at like elementary age?
So I mean, I moved around. The one thing about my mother was because she was a single mother with me, and I ended up having two brothers, which all too well. But my brothers
Love you guys, by the way.
That's right, absolute love.
Yeah.
Except for you, you know who you are. No, I'm just
that's
right, that's right. But I mean, it was my mother. My mother was a single mother, working and surviving, and so we moved all the time. So there's not really an elementary school I didn't go to from Somerville.
Did that play like a, and I don't mean to cut you off, but
Yeah,
did that
no.
play like a big upbringing in your life in general?
100%.
Especially being an adult now.
It's like you. It made me outgoing. It did because every year or every other year, it made me have to make whole new friends, whole new people. So being able to make connections and jump right into a thing and go like, I'm here. What do you do? So it made me, I teach my children now. It's like, how do you get to know other people? Don't talk about yourself. How do you get, it just made me learn how to be, relationship forward,
What's some advice you could give to somebody maybe at that age who is going through that currently?
Yeah.
Which, I don't think any kids maybe that young are watching this, but it's like still.
Yeah.
What's some advice to any kids who are struggling
I think it's important to know that love and caring are the biggest thing that you need to have. In our day and age, I feel like because I have younger kids, that it's all about who's got what and who's better at what and all these things. I think it's extremely important to know that you never know what somebody's going through or what lifestyle they're at. And so caring for people is the number one, know? And so if you look at somebody that you don't even know and you go, hey man, how are you? What do you like? It shows that like, I'm not about me, I'm about making, like I care about you, and you don't know what that does to somebody in their life.
You've talked about somebody's life.
That's right.
Just telling somebody, I hope your today's going to be a great day. I've been doing that the last. If you work with me, you know what's up. Every person, I'm like, today's going to be a great day.
That's right.
Like, it don't matter what it's going to be. Even if it is a bad day, today's going to be a great day.
That's
right. So, like, even, like, after going in elementary school, where'd you go to elementary school, if you don't mind me asking?
So, I mean, listen, dude, I went.
You went to so many different
I can go quick. I went to Knightsville, Beach Hill, Somerville Elementary, and Newington.
Hey, as long as you said Newington, we're
that's
good.
right.
We'll end it at that.
Yeah, that was the last one, man. So that was my final because I lived right there in Newington. So, I mean, it was, that was the final place. But so, I mean, 4 different elementary schools, all right here in Somerville.
Did you make any friends at that time who are they're around now?
I would tell you that there's some, but I mean, for the most part, I feel like life had me moving so much so quickly that there's some people that you fall out with. There's some people that are, the Facebook friends that you care about what's going on in their life. But I will tell you because I felt like probably in my life I tried to be an adult too quickly, that I latched myself to adults more than I did children.
Was that like just hanging out with the older people?
Oh, yeah.
Or like just,
And I'm talking about straight adults. If my mom had friends over, I wanted to be involved in it. If my grandfather, Earl Four, we called him Papa, Papa, that was that was like, if I was free, I wanted to be with him, because he taught me so many lessons, but we also had so much fun as a kid.
Right.
So truthfully, it's like, I put myself so much more around adults because the truth is my mother had us moving so much that each friendship kind of ended to some extent each time I moved around. But who never left me was family, And so I'll tell you, man, I mean, I truly stick by that is that like I talk to my kids now and say, I'll do anything that I have to do to make sure that as we grow and this family gets bigger and bigger, that we never separate, that we're always, even if we're distant, we're close.
And it shouldn't matter what becomes, or I don't know, I'm not trying to sound like I'm perfect or anything, but I just think when you figure out like the meaning of life, you kind of just look at things a lot differently, and you want to show people and tell them like this is how you do it. This is how you can be happy. And people just look at you with a blank face and go, I got to go back to work.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not going to fix everything. Like, of course we need a job. We need to, mandatory, but you should be able to balance life enough to know what your priorities
That's right.
are.
That's exactly
so like even in high school, because you said you went to Somerville High School.
I did. Yeah.
Did you play any sports or like?
Yeah. So
what was the extracurriculars that you've done?
So I've always been a musician. That's my dad.
What instrument?
So I can play pretty much anything, but drums were my main instrument. So I grew up also in church. So in the youth group, my brother-in-law gal who was just my friend at the time. I started dating his sister. Sorry, Brock, I love you. But we started playing music. I had my dad's old instruments, and we pulled them out one day and just started jamming with each other and riffing, and it just grew and grew and grew. But
did you start a band?
100%, dude.
What was the name of the band?
Dude, I was in so many bands. We were in my favorite one was my boy Jesse, Pants of Tomorrow. You know, yeah. It's just, you know, so you had all those fun names because I mean, back when I was younger, it was that metal music, the harder stuff.
Yeah.
You know, if you wanted to play somewhere, you had to play fast, you had to play loud, and so even though that wasn't really my style at home, it was what you did to play. But but other than church, and so in church, it was just you were the youth band, right? Which was cool in that group. It was cool to be, and still is to me, in so many ways, to just show your your faithfulness and your love for God in that way. But so drums, guitar, even now I've served at Freedom Church in Moncks Corner playing acoustic guitar. I've got 4 pianos in the house, saxophone at school.
So I didn't know that you actually played instruments like that.
Oh yeah, man, that's
actually really cool, bro. You're a jack of all trades.
If I'm worried, if I've stressed in any way, you're gonna see me go up to the 3rd story and I'm playing the drum set. I've got my full kit set up, and what I learned a long time ago was you get headphones and see how loud you could get headphones.
Yeah.
I bought a PA system. I was like, I'm an adult. I'm gonna buy a monster sound set, and I'm just gonna play as loud as I feel like it.
I can.
That's right. It's during respectful hours.
Yeah.
But I will literally
that's cool,
PA at full speed, and I'm at it.
You deserve it though.
That's right.
And I do kind of want to ask, what was would you step into after high school? Because you graduated, of course, right?
No.
What?
So yeah,
Wow.
no, man. So this is the big change. This is that story when you talk about testimony and how you find positivity, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes the best stories, the best testimonies are some of the darker times, right? So I played football for Somerville. I was the wrestling captain at Austin Middle School. Wow. I did all these things, but also through that time, I was going to church, but I was after that female connection.
The lust.
Yep, that's right. And that's right. But I will tell you that what that produced was one of the best relationships I've ever had, and to this day is my rock. Other than God, she is right there as my foundation, as my wife, Zac Mear. So I started dating. I asked her out and took her out to her 8th grade prom. She's still my wife to this day.
Wow.
But my wife.
Congratulations.
Listen, man. I love her to death, and she's one of the most important. We always say it. Listen, I love my children, but I chose this woman, and she is mine.
Right.
And I am hers. And so we
Y'all
support.
are one.
Yeah, that's right. We support each other in a major way, especially navigating life and with these children. And so, but my wife and I had a child when we were 16. Wow. So
what's some suggestion or not suggestion? I was gonna say suggestion.
Yeah,
I would suggest you.
I'm not. Yeah, there's an age for this, guys. Yeah. So.
But what was I got lost in it again. What's some advice you could give to anybody who's maybe having a baby right now?
So, I mean, the biggest thing is if you're young and you're doing this, you need to make sure that you have the ability to support your child, right? I'm for life, and but there are other people that are hurting that can't bring life into this world. Yeah. So there I'm for adoption in the right way, if it's needed. But I will tell you that if you're like, I'm going to take care of my responsibilities. There's a decision that my wife and I made with each other. Is you've got to have a foundation as a relationship with your partner, right? That's a big thing, because outside influence, especially at a young age, you're going to have parents, you're going to have grandparents, you're going to have cousins, you're going to have everybody trying to tell you what to do in your life, and they're going to pull you in multiple directions. But I'll tell you, you got to have a foundation with your partner. Whether that's married, important. Yeah, it's extreme. And in what I've found in my life now, the thing that has made our relationship flourish even more over these last few years is my relationship with God, and how God is inside of that relationship. That oneness is my wife and I and Jesus Christ. So I'll tell you that at a young age, I would tell you that's it. If you're older, I would tell you make sure to put yourself second. It was a hard lesson for me to learn for a long time, that I came out of middle school and high school where I played sports and I did this and I did that, and then all of a sudden you have this life that you got to take care of.
Yeah.
And maybe and I talk to my oldest about this, who's 18, about to graduate from Somerville High School this year.
Dude,
it's great. Yeah,
I'm getting old.
Yeah, that's right.
I remember when. Yeah.
He was little, man. He was little, and so I mean, it was he was born in 2006. Y'all weren't even out of high school.
That's
you know. So
yeah,
I mean, it's for those things, it's like I would tell you that. Be ready to put your children first. That's one of the things. Listen, I don't want to judge anybody in this world, but the one thing that I have to stop myself from judging is bad parenting.
Yeah.
Because
I've been like not itching to like do videos on that, but I've been itching to kind of speak on that, because this may sound very rude, but I feel like some people just aren't meant to really have kids, especially if you're not like mentally stable and financially able to provide. And I'm not trying to say it, because everybody deserves a chance, and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, like some things could be prevented from. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, one of my biggest mentors is my Uncle Clint. My Uncle Clint and my Aunt Kiki, they were people that I kind of looked up to, that had kind of went through their time and enjoyed each other and lived in downtown Charleston and he played music too. So he played in that scene and the ska and punk music scene back in the 90s and 2000s, and just lived their life they wanted to while they continued education. Mm-hmm. She was a school teacher. He was in art in every form and fashion, but working at a pool business. Mm-hmm. And so as they were growing, they made sure that they were stable, to your point, before they had kids. Now, I had kids at a young age, and my wife and I had 3 children before we were 23. So I mean, it was quick that we had these 3 children. And then later, we didn't think we could have kids. I've had 3 more children, but there's an 8-year age gap between the two. And so now I look at it and I go, why is it so more comfortable now than it was younger? Because I'm mature, right? More than anything is like, how do I address when something negative happens? I'm not a young man anymore. And I'm not saying I'm not young, but I'm not a young man anymore dealing with things irrationally and quickly. And no, I'm much more calm and allow things to happen. But then also, that's right.
Yeah,
that's
you've been through a lot and you've seen a lot, and now you're not putting up with bull crap no more. And I feel like that's kind of what it is too. Is like learning to put your foot down and accepting what the life you're living is going to come with repercussions.
That's right.
Negative repercussion, positive repercussions. I'm trying to say the words right. But I do want to ask, you said you had a kid at 16 and stuff. Were you working a job, and like, did it continue like after you got out of?
So
because you didn't graduate, did you?
I got a GED, So,
but was that like, when did it kind of happen? Yeah. Was it after like 18, 19, or like? And I'm not trying to like think like that, but
it's perfect, because I mean, listen, I'm super open about all this, because again, it's part of that testimony to get where I'm at. I'm 34 years old right now, and I own a pool business and have other opportunities coming our way, because I feel blessed again from what God has done for me. But it's getting in that beginning of it.
Also, what you did though, because you put in work.
Yeah, well,
you put in the work, bro.
But I learned that because I didn't have a dad. My grandfather, Earl Four, aka Papa, raised me, but he raised me in that old school way of like, do something right or don't do it at all, so I started building pools when I was 13 years old. That was my first summer at the company. So any not real holiday, but summer months, I worked, I worked at the family business. So that was always something during the summers that I went back to, and then I worked at jobs. I worked Zaxby's, I worked Cold Stone Creamery, I worked at, UPS at one time. But I would say that the pool business is where I kind of really, especially there was a time where my wife and I had to move out, and we had to find our own place. My grandmother came down from Atlanta. Mm-hmm. She got me an apartment in Goose Creek. Mm-hmm. We were 17 years old, and that's when I worked. So I left school. It was around that 17, 18 year, I just turned 18 that I got my GED, and we also got married, I took the test for my GED, on one week. The next week I got married, but we had a goal at a time that I was going to go in the military. Yeah.
So you were just like battling a lot, man. You were like, I wouldn't say battling, but you're just like picking and choosing which route to go, and then obviously you failed. What's something that you can like learn from, not just when you were a kid, but maybe the 20s that you kind of would want to like help somebody else with?
Well, I mean, I would tell you that like through all this, what I got to learn, especially after I joined the Army, and when we got in the service, it was like what leadership really looks like, and so that's what I gained the most. And what I would tell you is that, be open and receptive for mentors at every turn. Like there are people, it doesn't matter how old they are, what walk of life they are. I truly mean that. At one time you always think I got to look up to be able to find a mentor. No, you don't. You can find it in a young kid, and you can find it in anywhere.
Anything is inspirational if you just put your third eye on. I call it third eye because it's easy to look through these, but it's harder to look through what is actually
I mean, listen, I get that
subliminally.
Yeah, but so I mean, I would tell you that it's always be willing to learn. The problem is at a young age, you think you know everything, and it's hard to hear those stories from adults that tell you need time in the seat. You need to, and it's like, what do you mean time in the seat? I'm working my butt off. I understand what's going on, but do I know how to tactfully handle things? Do I know how to address when negativity? I always say, what my best skill set right now is? When the crap hits the fan, I'm the guy that doesn't freak out. I can get in any scenario and I can calm it down.
Everything depends on your reaction. If you react badly, then you're going to get a bad reaction.
That's right.
But if you react positively, there's a higher chance of you getting a positive reaction.
That's right.
Because it's like, I think a lot of people dwell on the things that they make mistakes on, which, we all make mistakes. And I think whenever you kind of accept that you did the mistake, then you have to help other people who are going through that same mistake that you may not know.
That's right.
To teach them what you could prevent from them, you know? Because everybody has to go through it, of course.
Right.
But, like, it's still, I feel like it's important to allow, like, let's say if I messed up on this pod. Like, even now, you see this? Like, look. It's still going. Like, my reaction right there could have been insane.
That's right.
I could have been like, oh, my gosh.
Right.
The pod just shut off.
That's right.
Like, my first time that happened, I did.
Yeah.
But then you got to teach somebody else, like,
that's right.
You can't overreact. And I may sound weird, but,
No, I mean, this is that inspirational. The reason why I wanted to be in here was because I saw how positive you've been, not just out in the community, which I told you earlier is like one of my favorite things that you do is like getting out there and talking to people. You don't know what kind of you bring in the light or just asking somebody a question. Just like we talk about youth, it's like I was just telling you, like, get out and talk to people about them. What do you you don't walk up to people and go, let me tell you about me. Right. You're asking them questions. You care about people. And so that's what I'll tell you.
I'm glad you said that, Greg, because like I really don't do that for me.
Yeah.
A lot of people would think I'm doing it to get views and all this, but I'm just trying to spread positivity and
that's
love
it.
and let people know they're loved.
And
you know what I mean?
And I'll tell you, I had a hard time with that for a very long time because I came up in such a hard way in construction, the military, and there were things that happened in life that really turned me, changed me into that like rough individual, ready to fight, ready to argue, ready to do that. I carried negativity with me and touched a lot of people with it for a long time. And so now what I've done is truly understood the relationship that God has given me, that God and I have this connection that allows me, what I learn about from God is some people watch movies and have been in some rough scenarios where church hurt. Well, what is in a church? It's people. People are in church. Nobody's perfect, so, but who is our God.
I do want to ask, because we kind of covered a good bit of what I thought, when did you actually become a Christian and like what was the steps to becoming a Christian? And I'm only saying it in that phrase because I want people to, as a promo.
Right. Well, so I mean, at a young age, I was in church. My mother did make sure we were in church, and then at times she would fall off, and I would stay because it was a positive place to be, And so I will tell you that I accepted Christ in my life and was baptized when I was 12 years old. There's a big series that came out called Left Behind. They've made multiple movies about it.
2012.
That's right. Yeah,
Remember
but
that one?
Yeah, that's. I mean, about how the rapture happens and when Jesus comes back. Yeah, and that's right. And so it kind of scared me into a relationship, but I never really understood what that relationship was like or the deeper meaning behind it until about 2 years ago. I mean, and so it was about 2 years ago that I was in church. I'd been going. My wife had said, let's go, and I said, let's do it. And I started letting my heart, like all these walls that I had built up. There's a story in the Bible about Jericho, about these monster walls that are up around this town. And God just says, hey, if you follow my direction, I'll keep it simple. If you follow my direction and do what I tell you to and just worship me, I'm going to drop these walls, you know? And
yeah.
it talked to me about like, if I put my faith in God, I need to let all this negativity and all these walls fall.
Yeah.
And the minute I asked God, hey, take these walls, I'm ready to listen, it was like a rush, dude. I mean, I've never felt the feeling, and I felt it since then, but I never felt the feeling before of what God, the Holy Spirit inside of me felt like.
Well, that's where I kind of like tell people, and this is where I get to add my little sauce, because we all got different opinions, and as long as you're spreading peace, positivity, and love, that's kind of all that matters, and you're not hurting other people. But I do just want to say, like, because I just had to get that out there before I explain what I say. I feel like all of us are God, and there's something that maybe some of us know, but the fact that I'm able to talk, the fact that I'm able to see and touch my hat, and how you doing?
Yeah.
I just decided to do that. That's a God ability. That's not something that is just like, oh, here, you can just walk around. Like, no, we are a God ability, and we have to use this ability to you're trying to, break out of that element, break out of that stage of your life where you feel stuck, where you feel alone, like nobody loves you, like, that you're not worth it, or your value is not what you think it is. Like, no, you have to create this, like, you have to build that, like, ego out of that, and like go crazy with it. Well, so like, I wanted to ask real quick though, what is it to be Christian?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'll tell you, I vary a little bit for what you just said. And the only reason why is God created us, in my belief, God created us in his image. But at the very beginning, everybody's heard the story of Adam and Eve, that we chose sin. And at that point, God had to disconnect from us, And so to be a Christian is the understanding that we as people are broken, that God created us. There is a God that created this world, and that we are broken. And that through many lessons and many stories in the Bible, it all culminates. It foretells his son that comes, a God in human form that comes down and sacrifices his life for us. What does he sacrifice? What does that mean? He's reconnecting us back to God. Jesus is the bridge.
What's your favorite scripture? I want to ask that.
So
mine's obviously John 3:16.
Yeah, well, listen, I think John 3:16 is one of those that explains at the best, what the relationship, for God so loved the world that he gave his one and only son. That's right. And so I think that's important. There's a long time where I felt the world was judging. I used to always spit Romans 3:23, for all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, that we're all equal. We're all sinners. There's nobody, if anybody's putting themselves on a pedestal, don't, because we're broken, And so that's the one thing about being a Christian in my eyes, is not about it's about setting yourself apart, saying, I'm not going to be okay with certain things, that I'm not going to live my life in this way, but understanding that I'm also broken. I still curse at times. I still lust when I shouldn't. I'm a person,
but some people look at Christians in a different way.
That's right.
Especially now that there's been social media, which plays a big role in just being able to be a person, because it's like you get bashed for your opinions.
That's right.
If you believe too hard, then you're crazy.
That's right.
Man, I can go on and on. I love doing podcasts.
Yeah.
You should definitely do something in that realm, even if it's just like talking with a mic, because you got a message, and you haven't really said much. You have, but you know what I mean? I know, I see more in it and stuff. But I do want to ask, what church do you go to, and what's the reason of going to that church?
So, I mean, I go to Freedom Church in Moncks Corner, right, which is part of an arc that was kind of started from Seacoast, So we had talked about that a little bit earlier, but either way, it's Pastor Sean Wood and his wife Connie started church. It looked like from a gymnasium, 12 to 14 years ago, and got a group of people that all had the same beliefs. So it's a non-denominational church, which means you're not going to be very specific. We grew up. My wife and I grew up Southern Baptist. Right. So there's a whole set of rules, and hellfire and brimstone
totally
was
different.
Yeah, and so now, truly understanding that what it is an extremely diverse church. So you're going to see every walks of life, every different type, because they want, the idea of this on the sign that says there's no broken people allowed. So no perfect people allowed, because we're all broken, and understanding that there is imperfection in all of us. But this church, for me, the worship music, they talk about using.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
So they talk about demonstrative worship, and I didn't know what that meant. What that means is we're going to play, which is, you know, Christian music. If you look at the top Christian hits now, they're going to play a lot of those big Christian hits, but they're going to play them loud. It's not going to hide anything. They literally have earplugs sitting before you walk in, that if you are an elderly person or somebody that is sensitive to that, be ready for it, because the idea,
it's like you want to, it's like honestly calling to God.
That's exactly
kind of what it
100%.
is. And
That's what
I
it
get
is.
it, you know, and that's why I give any Christian or anybody in that realm of doing worshiping or something, you know, just be yourself.
That's
you know?
right.
Believe in what you believe in. Just I don't tell I normally, this is new for me. I've never really talked about any
listen,
type
I'm glad
of,
to be your first. How about that?
No, literally, I'm not lying. I've never felt comfortable doing it because I don't want people to seem like any of what I'm doing is like preaching.
Understood.
Or, you know, because I'm not trying to preach.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to throw advice, let it simmer, take it how you want.
Right.
But I do want to,
and I respect you for that. You know, and that's why as the guest, you know, coming in here was like, and I told you before we started this, I was like, I'm going to talk about God, because I can't say that I'm sitting here today and as blessed as I am in this life without talking about the my heavenly Father. You know, I didn't have a father.
Who made us.
You know, yeah, that's right. That I pray in the mornings, I pray at nights, I pray through the days. You know, our church talks about the power and the pause. Stop for a minute when you're at your struggle moment and pray, because the biggest support that I have in this fire, you know, this life that we have. There's a story in the Bible called, you know, that's about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. You know, getting thrown in the fire for what they believe in. I won't serve any other idols. And in that fire, they say they look into this furnace that they get thrown into for standing for their God. And in there, a fourth person, they can see a fourth person, whether that's God, whether that's an angel, whether that's a Jesus, whatever you want to say that is, it's support. And so in my fire during the day when I'm struggling, I work in construction. This is not an easy industry to be in, and you've got a lot of...
it's not safe all the time.
No.
Like, you don't know what could happen, man. You're dealing with a lot of big equipment and...
That's right.
You know, just stuff, which that leads us to the big objective.
That's right.
I want to ask, what is the name of your business and how did you start?
Thank you, man. Well, listen, so the name of my company is Royal Oasis Pools. So we're big in, we build everywhere in this area. So from Monk's Corner to Mount Pleasant to Bono, Edisto, Somerville, we're everywhere, you know, but we build custom concrete pools and we do some fiberglass, but I'll tell you, anything that you can imagine, we can build it, you know, whether it's on the second story of the house, third story of the house. I've got a brotherhood. I don't talk about you know, they're my team, but I've got a brotherhood with a group of men that have been on this journey with me, you know, for a very long time. Some of them 7 to 10 years.
I kind of want to ask, do you think in order to run a successful, I would say company, but also just like a business, because you got to stand strong on that.
That's right.
Do you think you have to have a team?
100%. Like, again, you said it, and I believe it 1,000%. I am one individual, you know, and unless I make the best cakes, and you just come and buy a cake for me in my kitchen, we're doing too much work out here to do it on your own. We're not meant to be on our own. We're a tribe. We're a clan. You know, I call my family the Mear clan, because we're all together. We all support each other in a lot of ways. But in my team, in my you know, in this company, I think that it's extremely important to be able to trust people. You got to trust the people that you work with, that they've got your best interest, and whatever your company is, that they also, you know, drinking the Kool-Aid. You know, you can't just be the only one going like you. If it's like, I'm the only one that believes in this, but your team doesn't, then what are they doing when they've got to believe.
That's kind of why I asked the question, you know, because as much as like you have everything going on, there's no team, there's no I without in a team in the word.
I got what you were saying.
I'm off. I work today. I've never done an interview and work after work, so it's like I feel like I'm like drained out from work.
Well, listen, but I appreciate you taking the time, man.
Bro,
because
that's what we do, man.
But I mean, I would tell you, I started in the pool business because my family owned a pool business, you know, and I have a lot of respect and a lot of love for that business.
You think that played a big role for you to be as successful as you are?
100%, dude. There's no way, because you know the military definitely helped me get structure and consistency. But I'll tell you, the pool industry and what I grew up in helped me learn, one, how to manage people, how to take care of people. You know, my grandfather built a business about taking care of the people around him, you know? And I think over time, you know, sometimes money can taint things, you know, and money, the need for the more money you get, the more people you hire, the more this. And so what I did, and I'll be honest, I left the family business 6 years ago. So I stepped away from it. I had a non-compete, you know, and that's a thing. And and people say, well, you can fight it. It's not worth it, because I love my family and I wish them nothing but the best. But I moved away.
Plus, and if you really think about it, this world's too big to
That's right.
not just be like, oh,
there's too much business for all of us.
Yeah, like there's pool businesses everywhere.
That's right.
It's like, you got to do what you got to do.
And that's what we did.
Not like that, but you know what I mean.
But you talk about that team. When I talk about brotherhood, the reason why I say this is that when I had to move away from this area, so I moved back to Columbia where my family's from. And when I moved away, it wasn't a few months after that the same team that I have today, so we're talking about 6 years later, moved up to Columbia with me. So boys that are from here went to Fort Dorchester and Somerville High School, and I'm going to call them out: Mike Vinsko, Corey Snagowski, Jacob Carter, and my wife Zac Mear. All of us came up to Columbia and started working out what we didn't realize it then was a vision for what it was going to be when we came back to town.
Especially because it starts off small. And, you kind of had like a little leverage in a way, but it's still like it starts off small.
That's right.
Like you don't know what's going to happen with
right.
the people. And then it just grows.
And then
boom, opportunities happen.
And if you do good work, and again, if you care for people. So my clients, when we talk about clients, I always tell people there are a lot of companies out there that do 200 pools a year and everybody just becomes a number. That's not it.
Nope.
I could call. So I'll tell you a quick small story. I was in the middle of losing a sale that I'd worked on for a long time. And this will tell you about our business. I was sitting out in the street going, I'm about to lose this job. The client's telling me I'm losing it. And I stood there and I prayed to God and go, how do I fight? You can't fist fight somebody for the right for a pool. But what I did was it clicked. Like God gave me this click and it went, reach out to your clients. Reach out. So I reached out to 10 different clients and said, I need you to send me a video, a text, or an email that speaks to this client directly. I want you to say his name.
Yeah, right.
And I want you to tell about what it was like building with me. Right. All 10 of them responded. Every single and I won that bid by peppering him all night. He was like, dude, this is crazy. And I was like, I need you to show you that this is a relationship we're building with each other because you're spending a lot of money. This isn't not to say it's not food. It's not something that's passing. But these pools average 100, 150,000.
I was going to ask, like just the whole process of starting over and like making a pool. How does it go? Can you explain it for someone?
Yeah. So a client comes to us with a vision to want to put a pool in their backyard, and between myself and Jacob Carter, we talk to the clients and we break out all the different aspects of what they're looking for. Try to get a vision for what they see it as. Give us some inspiration. Give us some thoughts. We get to your backyard and make sure that it's possible, right? There's all kinds of things that stop it from happening.
What are some ways that
trees? There's protected trees that you can't build in. So you got a big grand oak tree in your backyard. There's a bubble that every municipality says you can't step into this bubble because they want that tree to live. And listen, rightfully so, right? These trees were here way before we were ever here. A lot of these trees were. And so it's to say that we're going to protect those. But there's property lines, easements. You've seen it. Drainage lines and things that neighborhoods put in that can't be touched. You can't encroach on those because that's a need.
Has that lost you? And if you don't want to answer
100%.
So do you have people get the quote? You go there and you're like, I'm sorry, I can't
do it. I've had so many times where I've come behind another pool company that had already started the process, and the client called me to come and get a second option. And then I go, how did they even design? You got 3 trees right here.
Are you allowed to do that, though? I don't mean to. And if you,
100%. Listen, I'm an honest person. I live by honesty. So all this, I don't backstab. I don't do any of this. But if I walk in a backyard and a client goes, look at the design that I've been given, and I go, you've got a tree here, here, and here that they're never going to allow you, from my experience level. There's so many companies that don't know the details. And so when I get out there and I go, that's not possible.
What are ways to get I wouldn't say verified, but verification, certification? What do you have to do? What certification do you need to be a pool
So
business?
In South Carolina, you have to be a licensed pool contractor through the state. You have to be licensed. So it's testing, and it's paying money each year and making sure you keep up with your license. So to do this work, that's what you have to do. But there's always continued education. You can get a degree in pool building. Now, listen, I got the degree in hard knocks in the field, but I still believe in continued education, learning more. But what I've also done is accrued over years many contacts, not just from my family's business, but from my travels. Because when we traveled, we built pools in Asheville, Greenville, Pooler, Georgia.
That leads to my next question. Do you travel to go do any pool business?
Listen, if someone's got enough money, I'll travel anywhere, right? So I hate to say it that way. But I can.
Bro, all right.
Yeah.
And we'll just clear the air.
Yeah.
Money or pool is not, to make a pool or do anything in the realm of pools is not cheap. I don't care what anybody says. Not one any aspect of the stuff in it. Like, what's the most expensive pool you ever worked on?
So I literally was at it today, and now it was with my family's business, but we are about to take out a pool that was close to, $500,000, you know, for a pool in Kiowa. And because some of the failures and some of the things that have happened, we're about to rip this pool completely off the second story and redo it.
That's
so
crazy.
and between the demo of the existing and putting this what is another intricate high-end pool, they could be spending another $500,000 on this pool.
Which,
So
you know,
I mean,
some people would be like, I want a pool. You better have some money, buddy.
that's right. Well, listen, I've sold contracts that are 60,000, 70,
Yeah.
80, but I'll tell you, in the concrete world, if anybody's trying to sell you something that's below that, you know, then they're going to cut corners. I'm an adamant person that we don't cut any corners. You know, we only hire the best people to help work with us. We only pay we only use the highest end materials. So our process is what makes sure that clients don't have warranty issues in the years to come. I see some of these pools now that fail within a year or two.
Do you suggest like a pool cleaning business afterwards?
100%. So one of the things about Royal Oasis is I have a parent company.
Yeah.
So there's a parent group that I'm partnered with called Owners Incorporated. So Owners Incorporated is a family-owned business where there are five different pool companies under this umbrella. So I'm the construction. Royal Oasis is pool construction. My sister company is Palmetto Pool Doctors.
That's so cool.
So we share business. I also have a landscape business and a construction business. So if you the homeowner goes, I want an outdoor kitchen, I want a big landscape, and I want a small pool in my backyard.
You could do it all.
We do it all. We do it all.
Is that like something you've been working on since the beginning, or is this kind of over time?
No, man.
Just built up?
Again, God puts people in your life for a reason. I'll tell you, John Kisner and John Basil are my partners in this business, and it's one of those things that, like, through trials and tribulations and some failures in previous businesses, you know,
which you have to go through.
You have to go through.
That.
I was looking for a new home, and the family business was kind of off the table. I had asked that, and so it was like, well, listen, I've got to figure something out, and I had an option to go build homes in Kiowa. I had a builder that respected me that way, or then I had this option that I got brought to my brothers who I'd known previously, and they had said, listen, we need to do this together. And at that point, it was like, let's do it, man. Let's see what we can do out here in this industry.
Chances make champions.
That's right.
You got to take the risk. And, you know, dude, I'm just really proud of you, bro, because it's like, I appreciate that, man. Knowing where you come from, and I don't know everything, but just knowing who you are, it's beautiful, bro. I think a lot of times people don't realize that you got to enjoy the process while it's all happening.
That's right.
I'm only 26, and I know that, and I'm proud of myself for that, because I think some people get to like 35, 40 and be like miserable and trying to figure out why they can't wake up feeling satisfied. You know, it's because you're not looking in the right direction in life. You got to look straight ahead, head up, full of steam. And I do want to do these because we could sit and talk, you know, for a long time. You definitely got to come back, man.
Yes.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
The energies match. I do want to do this. Do you have your phone on you by chance?
Yeah, 100%.
Can you set the timer for 1 minute?
Yeah, let's see.
So you go up top and you do clock. Has social media been a crazy thing for you?
So I'll tell you, social media is definitely something that has been a big part of our business,
or even just phones too.
Yeah. I mean, I will tell you. I mean, I've enjoyed getting to talk to people and just be like, listen, I'm a character in my life, you know. So just like you, I like to have fun in what we do, and I like to talk about what we do.
Gotta have fun.
Yeah. So
you gotta have fun.
All right.
Okay. So you got a minute?
I got a minute.
All right. So I'm gonna give you a couple questions. It's basically gonna be like red or blue.
Okay.
That's an example. Okay. So when 1 second. Okay. So let me know when you can start it. When you started, say I started.
Okay. Started.
Say a word in Spanish.
Pablo.
Plane or car?
Car.
Rap or country?
Country.
Favorite color?
Green.
Early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
Coffee or tea?
Sweet tea, man.
Movies or television?
Movies.
First job?
Working on a farm.
Favorite shopping store?
World Market.
Cat or dog?
Dog.
Would you ever skydive?
Heck yes.
Summer or winter?
Winter.
Deepest fear? Good one.
Failure.
Favorite holiday?
Thanksgiving.
How tall are you?
I'm 5'11".
How long does it take you to get ready in the morning?
Oh, I have a process that takes me about an hour. Yeah, oh yeah.
Do you snore?
100% I snore.
Cake or pie?
Cake.
Last one, what's the capital of New York?
New York?
Nope. Albany.
I love it, bro. I love it.
Bro.
Look at stop. You look at we got it all in, man.
Yeah. How much time did you have? I'm trying to learn. I just started that.
Dude, it was like 2. It was like 2 seconds. You know, and that, like
so. That's
yeah,
good.
that's right. Yeah.
So if people get it, I'm gonna do more questions in it.
Yeah.
And if they answer it, I'm gonna give them $50. So
love it,
it's gonna
man.
be cool
I love
because
it,
I'm
dude.
like trying to make people feel comfortable. I want people to be entertained.
Yeah.
But I also want people to get a message out of this and to learn to chase your dreams. With that being said, interview 120. It's been beautiful. My dog Big Z. I gotta say that one time.
Yeah,
I was trying to keep it professional.
I love it, man. I love it.
Hey, but remember, guys, stay true to yourself, and the only way to achieve your dreams is through you. No one else is going to do it. You got to get up every single day and grind harder than me, grind harder than Zach, grind harder than Michael Jordan, grind harder. Who else? Who we got?
Well, I mean,
I would
listen,
say God,
you can't grind hard. Yeah, look to God. That's my big
That's
thing.
a
Yeah.
fact.
So
Hey, for real, guys, drink water.
Yeah.
Peace.